our directions are to factor this polynomial. So I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say, okay, 40ac squared plus 25ak squared plus 32bc squared plus 20bk squared. Okay, so that's a mouthful and that's pretty hard to say. But we're going to see, always start with, is there a greatest common factor? So I'm going to look and I'm going to say 40, 25, 32, and 20. Well, no. There's nothing that can go into both 40, 25, 32, and 20. Okay, what about A's? Does everybody have an A? No. Does everybody have a C? No. Okay. Well, no greatest common factors. So let's try factoring by grouping. And factoring by grouping, we group terms together. So this is a very handy method if you have an even number of terms. So in this case, I've got 4 terms. So I'm going to group the first 2. And I'm going to group the last 2. And I'm going to factor each set of parentheses using the greatest common factor. So I'm going to get 40ac squared plus 25ak squared. And I'm going to say 40 and 25. And I'm going to find my greatest common factor between 40 and 25. Well, that greatest common factor is going to be 5. And then I'm going to look at the a's. Do they both have a's? They do. And the greatest number of a's I can take out looks like it'll be an a to the power of 1, or just 1a. Now, they do not both have c's and they do not both have k's, so I can't factor those out. All right, so I have my greatest common factor, which is 5a. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to divide both these terms by 5a. Now, 40 divided by 5 is 8. A divided by a is just 1, so that basically just divides out, goes away. And then I have my c squared, which doesn't change. Now, plus 25 divided by 5 is 5. A divided by a is 1, so that divides out. And then we have k squared. All right, now, if factoring by grouping is going to work, then I should end up with 8c squared plus 5k squared in the parentheses after I factor out that set with the greatest common factor. So let's see what we get. So we're going to say 32 and 20. My greatest common factor would be 4. Now my b's. They do both have b's, so it looks like I can also take out a b. And they do not both have, one has a c, one has a k, so that has to be left alone. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to divide by 4b. And I get 32 divided by 4, which is 8. B divided by b, that divides out, just becomes 1. And then I have the c squared plus 20 divided by 4, which is 5. B divided by b, which just becomes 1, it divides out. And then k squared. All right, so that's looking promising because if I look at my 2 terms, I'm going to look at what they have in common, and they have the expression inside the parentheses in common, 8c squared plus 5k squared. So I can factor that out. I can factor out an 8c squared plus 5k squared because they both have it. Now let's go through and divide both of these by this and figure out what we're left with. That divides out. And that divides out, so I'm left with 5a plus 4b. 5a plus 4b. And I'm going to see if I can go any further. 8c squared plus 5k squared. Now, if I'm seeing perfect squares, c squared and k squared, I'm going to start thinking difference of squares. But that's a plus sign, so difference of squares isn't going to work. Also, 8 and 5 are not perfect squares. So we're done on that one. And then 5a plus 4b, there's no greatest common factors there either. So we are complete. And our answer is 8c squared plus 5k squared. So now, let's talk about how to check this. So let's say I had 8c squared plus 5k squared. Remember, you can always check it by multiplying it back out. But let's talk about something real quick. Let's talk about real quick why we could factor out this 8c squared plus 5k squared. So basically what I'm doing is I am multiplying this expression through the other expression. So if I multiply this expression times 5a, I technically end up with, or not technically, I do end up with 5a times 8c squared plus 5k squared, plus, now I'm going to multiply that whole expression times 4b, plus 4b times 8c squared plus 5k, which is that step. And then if we multiplied both of these out, so 5a times each of these and 4b times each of these, and worked it out, we would get back to our original answer. So I encourage you to do that and make sure that you get back to the original answer.